Good morning everyone and welcome to my channel English Literature. Today we are going to talk about captive narratives, or you can say captivity narrative. In American literature, we find this general feature of being captive by the native people, and then they wrote about their lives in that time. Today we will talk about two persons who were imprisoned during the colonial period, Mary White Rowlandson and here John Wiliams. I am happy that they came back from their captivity and again lead a normal life, you can say, in that sense. But I am also at the same time sad because they had to lose so much. They had to lose their near and dear ones. They had to lose their children, and they had to lose their energy, time, their passion, and they had to suffer much. So let's talk about them, their life, and how their writing expressed and explored those days of suffering in their lives. First is Mary White Rowlandson, and she is famous for her narrative, that is a long name, but in short it is the narrative of the captivity and restoration of Mrs. Mary Rowlandson. Okay, but before going to that topic, I just want to give some light in her life. Her original name was Mary White, and in her childhood she was taken to America by her parents. Her father was John White, and he was a wealthy landholder in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. In 1653 they settled in Lancaster. So you have to keep in mind that at first they were at Massachusetts, but later they settled in Lancaster. And the disaster and the mishap will happen in Lancaster. In 1656, she was married to Reverend Joseph Rowlandson, and she became from Mary White to Mary Rowlandson, White Rowlandson. And she was captured in 1676 by a group of Indians, Wampanoag. Okay, they were actually a tribe of the among the Aboriginals, and their leader was Metacom. Metacom was known as King Philip, and Metacom's war, rebellion against the colonial people, was known as King Philip's War. And we will discuss about some major incidents during the colonial time, and that in that time we will talk about King Philip's War that happened from 1675 to 1676. Okay, we will talk about this topic in details because it is important, because it is the first Indian war in colonial America. And what happened? She was in Lancaster in her own house, and when King Philip, the leader of Metacom, seized the city, and the people took shelter in their house. But at that time Joseph Rowlandson was not at home. He had gone somewhere for some business issues, and she was captured, and her relatives and many persons were killed brutally. She was captured along with her 3 children. One was her daughter and the other 2 sons. And her daughter was severely wounded. Her daughter's name was Sarah. Her daughter was severely wounded, and that wound became poisonous, and she died just 2 or 3 days after the captivity. And her 2 sons were estranged from her. They were taken afar, and she could see them just occasionally, and they had to travel here and there, and they had to travel much because the tribe people do not stand still in one place. They continued their journey through the wilderness of the desolate country. Later she was released after her husband paid a ransom, and her surviving children were also released after a few weeks. 6 years after this incident, she published this horrific account of the experience, a narrative of the captivity and restauration of Mrs. Mary Rowlandson. Now the full name, it is the short form of his writing, and the full title, complete title is this one, and it is quite big, I think, lengthy. Sovereignty and goodness of God, together with the faithlessness of his faithfulness of his promises displayed, being a narrative of the captivity and restoration of Mrs. Mary Rowlandson. Now, the book was immensely popular as a captivity narrative. So, the importance of the book lies firstly for it is being the first captive narratives. More than 30 editions of it were published over the years. It was written in the style of moving narratives. Like you are writing a diary, what we do, we just give a date and write our experience, and it was written in the form that you are writing, you are in such a place, you write about that place experience, and then you move to another place, so you write that place experience. So in that way, your experience while you are moving from one place to another is written. Okay, in that frame it was written, just like a travelogue, you can say. The book records her life as a prisoner among the Wampanoags for 11 weeks. She describes how her faith and belief kept her alive. So again, there is the story of Puritan faith, how Puritan faith and austerity and dedication can keep her moral intact and keep her strong, that she can do it, she can go through it. She got a stolen copy of Bible with her, given by an Indian, and it helped her a lot to keep her spirit up. And she also helped the native people. She get adjusted with their meager meal, their traveling, their hardship of life, and she was very efficient in sewing and knitting, and they helped with her sewing and knitting to the native people. So they started liking her, and it became a boon for her. The situation became amiable, quiet for her. And this is her book, you can see. Now, this book captures the minor details of the daily lives of the native people, and the desolate wilderness where they used to live. So this book is important from two points of view. First of all, it is a captivity narrative, and in second, it just explores the minute details of the colonial people, the aboriginal people, and their struggle, their class, and the lifestyle, food habit, language, morals, everything about the aboriginal people who used to live there before the colonial people came and settled there. Now there is second person whom we will talk about. He is John Wiliams. He was captured in 1704 by French Canadians during the French and Indian War, known as Queen Anne's War. Okay, so that was King Philip's year, but King Philip was the leader of the tribe, and here it is Queen Anne, because Queen Anne was the throne during that time in England. He was a captive of the Indians for 8 weeks. She was for 11 weeks and he is for 8 weeks, but he was held by the French. Okay, you have to remember, not only 8 weeks, 2 years, because for 8 weeks he was captive under the Indians, the native people, and later he was held by the French till his release in 1706, almost 2 years. Okay, he was taken as prisoner in 1704 and he was released in 1706, so it is almost 2 years. He narrated this in his book. The name of his book is not so long like Rowlandson. It is quite short and sweet. The redeemed captive returning to Zion. and sometimes it is make it even shorter, like the redeemed captive. His book is a description of a desperate struggle against two enemies to the truth. Two enemies to the truth. One is cruelty. So the people who are not Christianized and the people who don't believe in the existence of Christian God, they are called heathen people, and their cruelty, their barbarism, their savagery is explored in this book. And at the same time, Polish race of the civilized people, the French people, their rage and their cruelty is no less than the heathenish cruelty of the tribal people. He just wanted to suggest this through in his book. And now this book also exposes the cruelty and savagery of the captive who killed two of his children along with other people. So his life is more pathetic because his two children were killed, and his wife will be also killed later, because while they are traveling from one place to another, his wife became very weak and feeble, and she cannot went along in keeping pace with the people, and she fell, and one of the native people just killed her. His wife was killed soon after on their way to Quebec, and John had to face constant death threats. But his Puritan faith, again the story of faith versus savagery, how faith and belief and devotion on God can keep their life and their moral intact in the face of adversity. So these books are not only the captivity narratives, these books are again the pamphlets of Puritan faith. And he was released by Quebec governor in 1706. He had to leave his daughter Eunice to a captive family. Actually, what happens, I have told in own videos that the settlers arrived and bring with them various diseases. The diseases with which the native people, the aboriginal people, have no immunity. And they bring smallpox, and one of the native people's daughter died in smallpox, and so they kept Eunice as their daughter in the place to replace their daughter. So John Wiliams lost his two sons, his wife, and also he had to give her only daughter Eunice to the captive family. Anyway, Eunice got a good life. She became a lady, and she was married, and she had 3 children. She married to a native people, and they had 3 children. Now, like Lady Mary Rowlandson, John Wiliams' writing has great value as a captivity narrative, and it was printed in several editions and became a truthful pamphlet about colonial America. The Last of the Mohicans, you know the name of the book, by James Fenimore Cooper and Hope Leslie, or Early Times in the Massachusetts. It was written by, sorry, I forget to give the name. Okay, I don't remember the name now. It is written by someone, not by Fenimore Cooper, so I'll provide the name later. It was based on those captive narratives of Rowlandson and Wiliams. So later writings like Fenimore Cooper's Last of the Mohican and Hope Leslie, or Early Times in the Massachusetts, these writings were greatly molded and shaped by taking inspiration from these captive narratives of Rowlandson and Wiliams. Okay, I have to search from where I get these sources, and I will provide you the name later in my comment box. Thank you.